it's made it easier to push through those things, those big decisions and big changes. And we've got more developments coming, and I think they're just going to be more accepting of that. So I think we couldn't have done what we needed to if we hadn't have started this training and got the broader leadership team on side.
What you look for is evidence of a cultural change. So going from the current culture, so being able to identify that current culture, and then having a very deliberate and intentional plan for a desired culture. So for me, the change is in the language that shows evidence of that vision coming into play. So by being really deliberate around the strategies in place at the top, with the senior team, getting the language right around the values, getting the strategy right, and watching that play out has been the biggest change for me. It's a lifelong journey, cultural change, to move from your current to your desired culture. And it takes a lot of effort, but that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a language change, we're seeing the can-do positive in all areas of the business around the leadership. So for me, that would be the biggest shift, is probably around the language.
The intention is people understand what we're trying to achieve. So we do a 5-year planning cycle. So we talk about 5-10 years down the track sometimes, even further sometimes. So I think if they know what the end goal is, the training has relevance. And so I think, like for example, with all the change we've had this year, some of it was affected a lot of people, and it would have been normal in a company like ours for everyone to go, what's going to happen next, and be scared. But I think because they know what we're trying to achieve, they can see that it's in line with that. But that mindset comes through the training, particularly because they can see it's part of a continuous improvement thing, because the continuous improvement applies to at a strategic level as well as at an operational level.
When you have a senior leadership team that's open and ready and receptive, it makes your work as a facilitator or a consultant very, very easy. So working with a team that's very open to trying things or very open to hearing new things, and then working out, does it fit? Is it right for this organisation? Is the really enjoyable part. And having the trust when you say, hey, we want to give this a go, we want to build this, and it's okay, let's do it. That's amazing. It's fantastic.
Well, I think on the continuous improvement, people are starting to do projects and understand what benefits we can get from it, and we're starting to see things happening that can focus on cost savings, improving processes, that kind of stuff.
As you know, the 3 systems that run through an organisation, the technical system, so what we actually do, the commercial system, so the quality we provide to our consumer or customer, is driven by that social process. So getting your value stream right relies on the social process, relies on the leadership team driving the right behaviours, being very, very clear. And as you know, the role clarity piece that comes in that social process is in both the competitive systems and the leadership side. And they dovetail. You can't have one without the other. You cannot drive a lean organisation that is wanting to be consistent and persistent into the future without the leadership buy-in. It's as simple as that. So one without the other wouldn't work. The social process is driving the technical and commercial success of the lean.
Well, in terms of changes, so if we're wanting to convince someone that we need to spend a bit of money, perhaps, people are having to do an A3 and do a bit of a scientific deal around why we should make that change. So I think it's not so much an emotional or an instinctive reaction. There's a process. People are looking at science, looking at the data and coming up with a good story and making a case from that perspective. So I think that from that aspect.
I think it's giving the individuals a voice. So you've got different people who are hiding away in their own little workspace, and they're busy doing their own job. But aside from interacting with other parts of the business, then they're put forward and they realise that what the part that they're doing is a really important part of the job, and how it fits into the whole value chain.
The first thing for us is we want people to be proud to work for Darwalla, and we want to attract good staff. So when people come to us now, they see the website, they see the awards we've won, they can see because we have all our newsletters there, they can see the type of activity that goes on, and I think that attracts a lot of people, but also keeps people with us.
I think leadership is the foundation for all, regardless of what you put with it, whether it's innovation, whether it's continuous improvement, whether it's safety, it doesn't matter. If you have that foundation of leadership, you can apply it to any concept. So I think front-ending it with this is your work, and the social process is your work, not the technical and commercial, I think probably gives it a stronger foundation, so you can build on that.
I think we've done the right thing by starting at the top, because no point in training. We do a lot of training at ground level, and we train people how to do their jobs, but we've got to filter it down. But we needed that sort of leadership group on board first, otherwise you'd be battling that.
I think things like team meetings, which probably we've got a bit more formality around that. There's boards. People are focused on what's important for us, KPIs. At all levels, each level of the business has their own KPIs, so it's good to get people looking on that. So I think those are some of the good changes.
It is always better to work with the senior leadership team and have them very, very clear around what they want for their business. If you don't, they do become a constraint, because it's strategic and operational divide. So operations can get so far, but they will never get to great. They're good, but they'll never get to great without all of the tiers of the organisation singing the same values, singing the same quality requirements or waste requirements, or whatever it is that you're looking at. So the senior leadership team can absolutely become a constraint if they're not willing to do what operations does, and they're not willing to use the language, they're not willing to go the extra mile to be able to do that.
With the performance management system we're rolling out, a big part of it is the development. So we want to identify, where's the gaps in people's skills and what we're trying to get them to achieve. And instead of, whipping them harder, we want to sort of work out, if you were, how do we develop you?
Well, I think the main thing is that it's given people an understanding of what we tried to roll out some years ago. So everyone's had a chance to get the picture about what we're trying to achieve. So from that perspective, it's about getting everyone on board.
There can be an absolute barrier, and what happens is the bottom will ultimately cave because it's not sustainable. What we look for top to toe is that consistency and persistency of cultural change. And if we don't have the senior leadership functioning very well, you will get mythologies that don't support the change you're looking for. So it is very much around the language being the same coming out. So we're supporting the positive change, the innovation, the change, the continuous improvement. If you have one senior leader saying this is not what I want or it's not what I need to do, that becomes a constraint or a limitation.